All right, safety squints. Oh my God, there's so much stuff falling on me. All in my ears. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Full Blast Garage. On this one, we're gonna get all the brake lines and fuel tank, everything, all the old stuff pulled out. New stuff in. And we're gonna put this Chevelle on full blast. Make sure you do it on full blast. All right, we're not messing around. We gotta start making some time on this thing. I need to get her finished in enough time to put quite a few miles on her before poverty tour, because I've made that executive decision. It's this car or it's the Challenger. I'm not gonna be part of the Armada, but this thing is gonna be pretty eye-catching, I can tell you. You got a lot of half-inch size bolts running through the frame that hold all this old rusty brake lines on. I'm just gonna start hitting everything. I'm gonna save these bolts because you never know exactly with the new kit if that stuff's gonna go on or not. Yep, I am on my tippy toes for that one. Man, this lift helps so much. Occasionally, you got to get in a weird position to make everything work perfectly though. And these, woo. Sure part of the subframe there it came with it, the cross member. But we're gonna get through it all. And what I'm gonna do is I get everything off. I'm gonna lay it down on the ground as it was removed in the same spot, kind of orientate it the same way. That way, I can lay out the new lines, look at the directions a little. I mean, there are some that came with this kit, and just see if I can figure out what's the best course to run the new lines. They do come with all new retaining clips, all new hardware. Again, don't know 100% if you can reuse the hardware. So we'll see if the bolts they give are the right size to go through the frame here. And yes, there is one can't get the wrench on. Got to do that one by hand. For the most part, everything's going to be just like that. We're going to run down the whole frame, get everything pulled, and then we'll start fitting up all the new stuff. Everything is going to kind of come off in one piece. Hopefully here. So let's scoot on back some more, giving you a little bit better view of the rustiest Chevelle frame that probably has tubular control arms on earth. So on this side, we have a fuel return line. The feed line is on the passenger side. And this car is going to be swapped over to electric fuel pump. And we will not have a return line. I don't have regulator, anything like that. It's going to need a return. So we're going to have the solo line, and then I got to figure out what to do for venting. Probably like some sort of aftermarket vent to vent the tank, because you don't want the pressure building up and you never be able to fill it. So we're moving on down the frame here. Let's slide on back again. getting a little rustier. All of these are starting to get stuck in the socket. That's how you can tell they're good, when every one gets stuck. That was a rock that fell. So now I need to remove our rubber line from our brake. Actually, I could cut it, maybe pull that guy forward out of it so then I don't have to remove it. That would be nice. I see 2 bolts I'm gonna have to remove by hand. One right here on the frame as the brake line. It's bolted to the cross member here above the axle. And then there's a bolt. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get an open end box in on this gas feed line. There is 1 bolt on top of that cross member that there's no way you can get up there with anything other than probably an open end box in. I see another one right above the shock tower too. So I'm gonna grab some stuff, take those out, and then we'll kind of update from there. Oh, well, I got most of the lines that I can get to out. There's some that the bolts holding the bracket on are coming from the top down. I don't know how you get to those without having the entire car off the frame. We're gonna go ahead and see if we can drop this tank. Just trying to give these bolts their best chance. I highly doubt it comes off. Highly doubt it. I'm gonna go ahead and juice both sides. Start letting that other one think about it. All right. Got to load up the 9/16. Hit it with the good gulf and hope it either just backs all the way off or just breaks. I don't really care if it just breaks. I can go buy new hardware for this thing. Probably needs it anyways, but. All right. Safety squints. Oh my God. There's so much stuff falling on me. All in my ears. Oh. Put it down a little bit. Maybe you can see more debris. Oh. I don't know what was happening there. I thought it was spinning. I can't look up. Is the bolt or is the nut just stripped? Feels like it. Great. Maybe a 1/2 inch now. Oh, we gotta pull out God's wrench. Oh, just break. Even getting the Sawzall up in here is not gonna be easy. I have to probably get the cutoff wheel. Trying to avoid spinning debris right above my head if I can. There we go. All right. Dang it. Why don't you just break? It'd be so much easier. There's not a whole lot of room to even get the vice grips on up here. Oh. And it popped off. Nope. Not doing nothing. Sawzall it is. Done messing with it. have new straps. So I just saw these guys off. Probably be the easiest thing. And then just come back in. Man, am my battery dying? Yes. All right. Well, then it was back. It's just amazing the amount of crap that falls out of this car. One strap. Oh, my ear. Oh gosh. Might should have thought this plan through. Nah, it's all right. I think we got her. Oh my God. There's just so much stuff in my ear. All right. Now we got to go forward. Forward a little bit. Pull her back. Oh. See? That wasn't hard at all, was it? There's a fuel tank line wire there going to nothing. I mean, that I believe is the green cinder wire, and I believe the one that's hooked up is the ground up here. This looks like, I think that's just the padding. Occasionally there'll be stuff on top of these gas tanks that have never been removed before. Well, maybe this, I don't know. They're both green. That's really weird. They're the same color. All right. No skeletons from what I can see. Thank God. Probably gonna have to save on the gas cap. Don't think I got one of those. Oh my God, there is stuff in it. Oh. All right, throw that outside and get rid of it. I had to get the cutoff wheel for this guy. Last thing, kind of attached. Ooh, that's definitely crunchy. Oop. Came unplugged. All right, back in now. The old tank mount seen better days, that's for sure. We'll act like we didn't see that, I think, probably. Other side looks fine. It'll hold it up. Okay, so after pulling the tank, I got this fuel line ran, and boy howdy, she's made for this car, but this is gonna make it a driver's side feed, and that's fine. That's what it was, probably on a Pontiac, and that's where these fuel lines came from. And I did just cut it right about here, and I'll run rubber to there because I'm gonna have to put, I'm thinking up in here is where I put my clicky clack type style electric pump. Let it live up there, and then it's gonna feed into this steel line. And it's pretty trick, man. I mean, it lines up exactly where it's supposed to go. And then we come out right there next to the steering gear, and I can adjust this in and out a hair, and I don't think that's going to interfere with anything. This was, you know, the setup on a Pontiac, a big block Chevy. I think you just got nothing but engine block right here. We're just gonna have to route it kind of from here straight up, and I might reuse some of that metal line, just put us a little union right here with rubber, get us up above kind of the valve covers, then go rubber from there. But man, that worked out super well. And somehow, poor feller that gave me the Le Mans, I mean, there's a whole nother fuel line. So I got a fuel line for next GTO I build. It's the same exact one I just used. He had two other lines too. I don't know, but it's a full 3/8 going all the way up to the front. And now we got to work on this mess. So this is the brake system that goes, you know, from the front up to the master cylinder, all the way to the back to the wheel cylinders. And then I did just realize I'd moved some hardware over to a location. I just like to set stuff aside once I'm done with it. Just realized we're gonna need these guys. So this is how our rubber lines are gonna attach to our steel lines in the back, and they're radiused so you can weld them to the axle. So we're gonna have to do some welding to attach the rear brake lines. I didn't know that, but I saw these things, they looked a little strange, and now it all makes sense. So you're doing this kit, if you're gonna attach your rear brake lines right, you're gonna need to weld them on. Otherwise, I don't know, you're gonna have to get creative with the zip ties or something. But that's kind of where I'm gonna stop today. It's getting a little late. Might as well eat some dinner, give this thing a rest, me a rest, and I am head to toe covered in dirt, just filthy. It gets worse the more you look at it. It's one of those. But I'm happy with at least where I got, and thank God, man, I got a free fuel line. I mean, free-ish. I paid for the car, and it came with a fuel line, a roof, a quarter, a floor. I mean, the guy had so much stuff. The carburetor he had a carburetor, brand new Edelbrock, and that's what I run tested the 454 with. I'm not going to use that one, but I mean, it's a brand new Edelbrock carb. Those are high dollar now. All right, well, we'll pick this back up in the morning after I've had a shower. Start tinkering with the rest of this stuff. All right, everybody, another day out in the shop. Actually, we'll leave these plugs in. This guy is just gonna get kind of loosely set up here. This proportioning valve is kind of step one, and the Right Stuff Detailing is where I got these brake lines from, and they have some pretty decent diagrams, and I'm using their little pre-bent lines. The kit came with some lines, but just in case they're slightly different, I'm using the brake lines and going by their diagram how to mount this proportioning valve. So just take that into account. I'm just going to kind of loosely place this guy up here with the fittings just hand tight to make sure everything's going to fit. So this guy, she goes like this with your electrical fitting facing up, and you'll have one line here. It's kind of like the one that has a bend in it, and your other line here. So there you go, and that mounts up to your master cylinder. So I'm gonna get just the valve here kind of loosely mounted. And the hardware in the kit seems to be fine. It looks like grade 5. So coming out the back of the valve should be your front to rear line, which I have laid out. And then coming out top side is driver brake line. Coming out bottom, there's a bottom fitting down here, is passenger. So she kind of angles up a little bit there, give you a little more room to get your fittings on. This guy's gonna have a bit of a jump. I don't know. It should work. We might have to bend or angle a little bit here to get this thing perfect. It's gonna be probably gonna need to tighten onto the master cylinder first, this line, and then drop your fitting on the proportioning valve. This guy, I mean, it's close enough. We're gonna do some bending, I bet. Maybe getting it out a little bit. That's it. I'm just gonna loosely bolt these guys in just so I don't lose them. Kind of keep track where everything goes. I think the two lines I do have, they kind of look identical to what I got here. So I don't think swapping over to them is going to make any difference. Well, it might be right. This guy, it's way thinner lines. Huh. This might actually fit better. Yeah, we might be using these guys. I got a feeling the seal is going to be better using this flare versus the one that came with it. I don't know. This is going to be kind of one of those, we'll see what leaks when we get there. But this, the fitment on the stuff that came with the disc brake conversion, it does look better. So scratch that. We're using the stuff Pirate Jack sent us and not the brake line company. Go on, just thread that guy on. See, this one, we're gonna have to do something to get this guy up high enough for sure. And this one has a little bit more length. I don't know. I don't think it helps any. Maybe slightly. Flares on these are identical, so that's good. All right. Grab some caps, put them back on these guys. Don't really need moisture or dirt or anything getting in these while they're just sitting here. Okay, let's grab right front, which will go under here. See what we can do to kind of fit that guy up. So you'll have two front brake lines. Obviously, the longer one is going to be the one that goes to the passenger side. Let's see, this thing, it's showing pretty tough looking angle. I think that way. And this guy should just ride right across the cross member. It's gonna kind of be bend it to your will. So I think I see that what they were going for here. Man, that's going to be probably pretty tight on your exhaust. I think that is it. This guy's probably the end that's going to need to go through the bracket over there. All right, I'm going to screw this guy in just to get it held down. Then I'll start forming the brake line over and see kind of where we get. Might be able to get a better angle from right here. Definitely don't want to cross thread any of this stuff. This is brass and it's going to be pretty flimsy. So everything's just getting hand tightened. Before we do any kind of bleeding or anything like that, we're definitely gonna have to go through everything, tighten everything back up. Now I'm trying to find our locations, kind of where our brackets were, the hold downs. And man, it's close. Got her there. Definitely probably not the greatest fitment yet. Got a whole lot dangling well past the cross member right now. So, tells me we're gonna need to do some more fitting. I mean, but some of this stuff looks good. I'd call that decent fitment. I think what I'm gonna do is grab little brackets, just kind of start hand tightening those. All right, from inside the engine bay, here's a little bit better look. So here's our passenger side front brake line. We got it routed down behind the steering shaft. She hugs the frame. We got our mount. Then it just keeps following the cross member here. Mount. There's another mount here. And this guy just keeps riding under the control arm, then over to your rubber hose mount. So that's really it. That's your main line you got to run there. And I've already dropped down the driver's side one. And it screws in there. I'm just going to route it. And we're going to have to just make sure it's not going to hit anything. But again, it goes down there. You see right through there. And that's where your rubber hose mounts there. So I'm going to go ahead and screw that on. I'll grab our rubber hoses, get those just kind of going, and we'll see where we got to go from there. But I got to get this guy lined up, kind of oriented right where it wants to screw in correctly. But this is kind of our view from inside here. It's total junk, and I'm going to remove this guy before we put the motor in. Probably do something with our heater core hoses, at least snip them there at the firewall. I don't think I'll even have the heater hooked up. We're going to be driving in the summer. Won't need it yet. I'm going to keep on the brakes. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to at least bleeding. So step 1A, 1B, I don't know. All right, so our rear line here. So it's kind of easy to figure out where things go because this has a giant fitting on it. So that's going to feed into there. Then the line, I'm not 100% sure yet how this thing runs. I don't know. Because this guy goes there. we might have to kind of shape this thing to the frame rail, I'm guessing. The way this thing runs out, it kind of makes me think like it should suck pretty tight up against the frame rail there. But we're gonna have to get the actual long piece of brake line kind of set in place. Then we can shape where things need to be. So let's get the car back up in the air. Okay, so here's the union you got to put in, and you're definitely gonna have to fiddle with this, kind of get stuff angled just right to get this guy in here. And it is leaning pretty tight on the frame right here, but you got a little protection for it for rubbing. But we're gonna have to go steal all the clamps off the old lines because they're meant for 2 lines. So what we're gonna do is clamp our fuel line and our brake lines here at each of these clamping locations. And I'm gonna manipulate the lines a little bit as I clamp them. Not entirely worried just the way they're sitting right here right now. But I'm gonna try and get it where the brake line's on the bottom, fuel line's on the top. And then they both just kind of terminate back here where they're supposed to. And this brake line's sticking way through here now, but she'll be fine. Oh, and our little cap fell off. Probably gonna need to find that. Definitely want to keep these brake lines plugged until you absolutely need to take the cap off and do some threading. There's a plug. We'll go cap this guy off. See if it'll stay on there actually. But again, like our fuel line kind of comes up here. This is not 100% where everything's going to end up, but this is rough layout. And I guess when I was untwisting the brake lines, maybe this line got a little twisted instead of flattened right here, because you can see like contour follows and then it kicks up instead of going in. So maybe I can get a couple pairs of pliers and kind of twist it back where it goes. But that's not the end of the world here. So I'm going to go grab all the clamps off the old lines, get them clamped, and then I'll kind of show you guys what it looks like when we got it halfway finished. Okay, our rear brake line hooked up to our rubber line. You got to mount this guy on top of the axle. So there'll be a bolt. You run through this brake hose, and that holds it to a bracket that you mount to the rear axle. Then each of these lines bolt into the side of this rubber line. So there we go. Everything's tight. And then from here, I mean, it's a little bit challenging, but the lines seem to follow the flow of the axle. They kick up here. You can see where I booger welded on the bracket for the rubber hose. But this is the best I don't know, the way I could get the line where it's not in the way of anything. I'm gonna probably tie this guy, like run a zip tie so it's not rubbing against the shock. But there's not a good way, at least that I can see, to route this line from right here behind the shock, like to this caliper and make it look good. I mean, it's not kinked or run at any weird angle, but I think either we'd have to have a really short rubber line or some sort of special fitting on this side to make it kind of fit perfect. I don't know, but this is the best that I could do, just kind of looking at everything and seeing the best way to make it fit. On this side, it's the same thing. Booger welded, my Amazon welder. I didn't even go get my Miller. It's too heavy to roll around. Same thing. So she's got a little whoop-de-doo, and then she goes up to the hard line. I don't know. I don't know if this is right, but we got tons of room here behind the tire. This isn't gonna come into contact with the tire. Got a blowout, we might have an issue. But I don't see a way to make this thing work. I mean, I tried running forward and over the I tried going under the axle and then back up and in, and nothing seemed correct. This just seemed the best. And we're clearing the shock, got everything else, and we still got to hook emergency cable up. Oh, she's firm. But we got all the lines tightened down. Everything's ran through there. We've got all our lines in their brackets. And this is a super simple car. We got a brake line and a fuel line. I have tightened this union down, which it's not great to have unions in a brake system, but I guess if you got to have one, do it on the rear, is their thinking. And then I need to tighten up all the fittings on our proportioning valve, and we got to start bleeding those brakes. And then we need to run our rubber lines from the front. So I don't know, it's gonna be really hard to see. So we have our hard line here. We need to push it up out of the way, get it in its right spot. Man, that's gonna be tough with this suspension full lift kit mode. That tubular arm is just right on the brake line. We might not be able to mount this guy just yet till we get the engine in, actually. We might just run the brake lines and we can bleed everything, and then we'll have to take that off at a later time and probably re-bleed at least these calipers. This one has a little bit tighter curve to it, and it's not coming directly in contact. We might be able to get away with leaving this one alone, but ain't a lot of space when we got this freaking big block spring here. It's amazing that it ever made it in this spring pocket, and it's curved because there's so much tension on it, and everything's where it's supposed to go. I promise you, it's indexed correctly at the top and the bottom. The tops and bottoms are the same. There's no like flat spot that you would do on the bottom, nothing. So put it in just the best way I thought it would go. And she is tight, so we might have to pull everything apart. There's a rubber insulator in here, pull that out, and I might have to cut a coil, because this thing, I can't imagine this thing's gonna have enough weight to make the suspension geometry correct. But I could be wrong, but I'd be really shocked. So let's go ahead and start working on these front rubber lines. We'll get everything tightened down and bleeding in no time. All right, front rubber lines have been ran, and on these it's a little bit clear which side, where you're supposed to put them. There's a cutout in the caliper that kind of shows you how to run it. And again, I'm gonna have to leave these guys loose till the suspension gets loaded up. Just not enough room the way the brake bends. This side's the same thing. And I will tell you, so in this kit, there are extra bolts, and like these banjo bolts. The bolts that were in this caliper, when I started tightening it down with this hose on and the washers, it felt like the bolt was too long, like it was getting tight before it was bottoming out. So I just swapped over to one of the bolts in the kit, used it. Fingers crossed. We'll see if we got any leaks. And this side, it's the same story. I gotta wait till we load up the suspension to be able to clip these guys in where they go. I mean, I guess you could always you know, mess with the bracket a little, bend it around, kind of get it where it needs to be, and then clip it. If once we load up the suspension, if we need to, I'll come in and just bend that guy down or loosen it up, flip the bracket, whatever we got to do to make it where there's a hard mount for your rubber line. And I went ahead and broke loose all of our bleeder screws. For some reason, the front 3/8 felt the best, and on the back 10 millimeter. So make it make sense to me. But I think we're now to the point where I'm going to drop it down, put some plugs in this side of the master cylinder, and start bench bleeding it. And then while we're doing that, we can go ahead and tighten all the fittings down that are on that distribution block there, and we should be good. And then once it's bled, we can go ahead and hook everything up and just start gravity feeding. Just let the master cylinder drip and fill up all these lines. It's going to take a while, but gravity bleeding on new lines like this, probably your best bet to get started. All right, we're on to bleeding. I got the world's biggest clamp here holding the bleed hoses on into the master cylinder pots. If you guys have never done this before, just make sure everything's connected. So I got the other sides plugged off. You'll find out real quick if you don't have those plugged off. They'll shoot air and fluid out real quick. But you just want to fill this guy up and make sure you're not getting any leaks from your little bleeder things here. They just gave like the nozzles that you press in, and I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of these. Haven't had great luck with a lot of the stuff they supply on bleeding. I got a kit somewhere, but just thought I might give this guy a shot since we already got it. So what you want to do is just slowly kind of work about a quarter pedal. See if I can move the camera around where you guys can see the hoses a little better. Maybe that's a little bit better view. We'll see. Just don't fall. Lots of air. And I'm just doing half pedal pushes here at first. And it's a good indication we're getting action from both pots. If you're only getting bubbling in one pot, it's a good indication that something's set up wrong on your rod. You might not have enough throw. And it's starting to suck it down a little, which is a good sign. I mean, this is going to be a while, folks. Looks like a majority bubbles kind of coming from the front pot. Now, we're not getting any fluid leaks. Doesn't mean we're not leaking air. Just gonna sit here and tap on them. Almost here like a hear a hissing, leaking or something. Maybe we just call this good. See what happens when you start letting this thing gravity bleed. I'm not the biggest fan of these little nozzle things. Don't know how great those are. So now, kind of got to just start threading these guys in. We're just gonna let everything sit, kind of simmer. Not gonna be the easiest to get everything started. You just want to go easy. Don't put a tool on anything until you got 100% sure this thing's threading in, not cross threading. Don't lose the camera. I think that'll hold. Okay. Back one started. Oh, this one's gonna take. Oh, I don't even know. I might start the top one first. Maybe. This guy's got a mile to go. This one might be a hair closer. Okay, which way do we need to go? Needs to go a hair out. Oop. Told you this wasn't going to be fun. All right, finally wrestled her in. Never got any fluid running out of the master cylinder. I like to see that normally before I do anything else. But I think I'm just going to leave this guy connected and see, just kind of keep an eye on everything and see some fluid eventually starts dripping out. I mean, it's got to. How many of these fittings are 9/16? It's the game I'm playing right now. We still got, I don't know if these guys are 3/8 or smaller. They look really small. All right. I don't know where I put the rest of my wrenches. Ugh. Don't worry, it didn't break. Did not hurt this completely 100% perfect grill on this thing. All right. Are these little guys 3/8? Yes. 3/8. That looks bigger. It's a half or a 7/16. I can't tell. 7/16. There's some sort of electrical reading you can take from this guy, and it'll tell you if you've got everything kind of in the right position. I have to read the directions on that. That's like one of the actual few things that are in the directions. Might be important to know. Just loosening that. Not paying attention. It's been a long day, folks. Long day. All right, now we sit, wait, kind of see what happens here. I'm gonna just let, hopefully, gravity do its job. Let some of the fluid from the master cylinder just slowly drain into all the lines, because I got all the bleeders cracked in the whole system. So we should be good. Give you guys an update here in a little bit if I get any pedal. As you can see from the floor, we're moving some fluid, even though it's not all staying in the system. But I think finally I've tracked down all the leaks. So those plugs in the side of this thing, you have got to absolutely smoke those down or they will leak. Some of the little fittings over there needed another turn. The rubber line on this side was fine. The rubber line on the passenger side, I absolutely had to smoke it down as hard as I could turn it. And then, I mean, I was still twisting on it, trying to get it to go more. And then it started to kind of want to round off. So I stopped, but I'm not getting any drips, not getting anything. This is kind of residual stuff. So what I'm going to do is let everything sit overnight, pressured up. I let everything gravity bleed. I hooked up my brake fluid jar into a hose and kind of pumped them some to just get some fluid moving. But we got no leaking at this union. We did have a leak in the back at the top on this side that I tightened that guy back down. This side was fine. Over here, this guy leaked, and it's still a little wet. Might have to take a look at that and see if I can get another turn out of it. Think we might still be getting some fluid. Yeah, gonna have to turn on that some more. So I mean, when I say some of this stuff needs to be smoked down, it absolutely has to. This guy's fine. Everything, all the connections at the calipers are good. Got a little bit of residual stuff from just bleeding the brakes. But I'm gonna guess grab the 3/8 and smoke that guy down a little bit more, but that's it. We've got brakes, and when I push it, it actually holds the car and it doesn't roll. So we're in business on the Chevelle. It stops. Check. Still got to do steering and put the gas tank in. Want to do all those things before I drop a motor and trans in it. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Full Blast Garage, and hope you enjoyed me struggling on this Chevelle, just getting brake lines run, fuel lines run, everything bled. I might have one leak still, passenger rear, keeping an eye on that. I don't know if you cut something like that, reflare it, maybe try a new fitting before you do anything else, or is there some sort of sealant you can put on a brake line that might help it seal up? It's as tight as I can get it. I might have to, I don't know, I could try vice grips maybe, like a little more leverage. It's a 3/8 fitting, so you don't have a tool that's like big enough really to torque on it a bunch, and you're trying to fight yourself so you're not rolling the line as you're doing it. So one leak, I mean, I guess I'll take it. I mean, this was like the cheapest 4-wheel disc conversion for these A bodies on the planet. Like it's eBay China special, and all the lines, God knows where they came from. But for all that being said, I got one thing to deal with, and it seems like all the brakes work at least well enough to, when I'm pushing on it, the car doesn't move. So we'll see when we get it out on the road and actually try and stop the thing, if they don't all just instantly lock up. But man, I hope you guys enjoyed it and just kind of got a little bit of a behind the scenes of what it takes to, you know, run completely new fuel line, brake lines on one of these cars after you've stripped it down. Next episode, fuel tank, gonna hook up the fuel pump, the electric in the back, gonna mount it, hook it up, hook up to our main fuel line. I'm gonna do steering box and all the steering linkages in the front. I got everything laying outside so I can measure the old stuff. I have everything new. It's literally just sitting right here at my feet on the floor. I need to get this stuff on the car. Only thing I got to take off the old steering, I think, is the Fitment arm. I don't think anybody makes those anymore. So, because I was looking and they're insanely expensive. So either no one really makes them anymore and they're just selling off the final stock, or people are gouging us. But I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you guys take a moment to just like, comment, subscribe. We're a small channel, but we've been growing, and any kind of interaction helps us out a bunch. We're hoping, in the next few years, that Full Blast Garage is like multiplied how big it is. So we're hoping that this kind of is our family business moving forward. So anything y'all can do to help, greatly appreciate it. And until you see me again, man, just go out, do something that makes you happy, but make sure you're doing it on full blast. I'll see y'all later.